The message for us today is about reconciliation. Being reconciled first and foremost to God and being reconciled with one another. But in order for us to get to that point of reconciliation, we must be ready and willing to appropriate the past. And so God says to Joshua, tell my people, I'm about to roll away the disgrace of Egypt. I want them to go forward knowing that their disgrace in Egypt will no longer be remembered. Tell my people to go forth in some way being reconciled with their past. Manna will end. They will no longer need the food of the desert. They are now going to feed on the food of the land. This is a break with the past, God says to his people. Be reconciled to the past and go forward. Paul then tells you and me, if anyone is in Christ, he or she is a new creation. The old is past and the new has come. And then we get to Jesus, who not only tells us of the past, but gives us a story. Gave us a story of reconciliation. The first thing is, the Pharisees and the scribes are grumbling that Jesus has welcomed the tax collectors and sinners. As I read this passage again, having read it for a number of times, I read this passage and I'm like, I wonder who were the sinners. You have the tax collectors, we already have them in one category. Then, for the Pharisees and the scribes, they were the tax collectors, who all were lumped into that group that they saw as the sinners, if you will. Because they saw themselves not as the sinners. We're not like them, so we are not a part of that group. But those guys are the sinners. Who were those people? When you and I stop and think about this, who are the people that we look at as the sinners? We may not say that consciously, but sometimes we behave as though some people deserve to be at the other end of God's mercy. And we are to be at that end where God is being gracious and kind because we went to church on Sunday. So God, we've done it today. Now it's time for you to give us the blessing. And that's not how he works. I don't know for the scribes and Pharisees who were the sinners, but I'm sure if I were around, I would have been one of them. Because for them, Jesus, if he were who he said he was, those are not the people he should associate with. Unfortunately for them, those were the people that Jesus enjoyed being with and not them. But that's a different sermon. Jesus then tells the story of two sons and their father. And it's not so much talking about the son and the father today, but it's about God's sense of reconciliation. As Paul will remind us, if anyone is in Christ. I do not know about you, but this much I know. To be reconciled, someone has to make the move. Either the one who feels offended or the one who has offended. But in order for reconciliation to take place, someone has to make the move. God, in God's grace and mercy, took the first step to be reconciled to us. And he sent prophets and he sent pastors, if you will. He kept sending messengers. And nothing worked. And finally he said, I will go. And God comes to us in order for us to be reconciled to God who has been offended. And yet, in that process of reconciliation, we nailed him to the cross. God continuously seeks to be reconciled to you and me. It is not about listing all of the wrong that we've done. If God were to sit down and open the book of the wrong that Wilma has done, he would just have to close the book and say, forget it, But God, in my opinion, is not sitting down and taking stock of, okay, yesterday, Wilma, you told fib. All right, that's against you. And list this thing. God is not interested in reminding me of the wrong I've done. God is interested in Wilma and God being reconciled. God says to me, Wilma, let bygone be bygone. Yesterday is past. Today is now. And tomorrow is yet to come. The longer you stay thinking about yesterday, you miss today. So Wilmot, let's get on with it. I created you, and I know you are not perfect. When I created you, I expected much of you, but I also knew you were going to disappoint me. Not that I didn't know it, I knew it. But yet, I love you in spite of yourself. So let's be reconciled. That's God speaking to Wilma. Wilma's problem is being reconciled with you. Trying to live at peace with you. When you constantly remind me of the wrong I did years ago. How then do we move on being reconciled? You are quick to point out, you did this last week, and you see you did this last month, and you see you did this last year. Okay, when you are done listing all the wrongs I've done, how much time we still have left for me to say, but I'm sorry? God who comes to us, who has been offended, has not come, as I said, with a checklist to remind us of the wrong we've done. He says, let's be reconciled. No matter what you think you've done, I love you. Let's be reconciled. And now, I'm sending you forth to be my reconciliation agent in the world. Be a reconciler. Go forth and don't go to remind people of what they've done against you. Go forth and help people to see that in spite of you, I love you and I've sent you to show them grace and mercy. Be a reconciler. Yes, I know. You will point out to me, Lord, you don't know what he did to me or what she did to me. And then the Lord says to you and me, but have you forgotten what you did to me?
That's right.
Yes, you want to remind me of what he did to you or what she did to you. But what have you done to me? And yet I love you. And yet I've forgiven you. Now you go forth and forgive others. Because until you do that, you will never have peace. That's the message for us on this fourth Sunday of Lent. This fourth Sunday, years ago in the church, that were referred to as Refreshment Sunday. A time for us to give ourselves a break from fasting. We don't do that these days. I mean, I don't know who's been fasting since Ash Wednesday, but never mind that. But the church used to have Refreshment Sunday. to refresh yourself from all that you've been doing in Lent. It is not about all of the things we try to do to look good before God because He sees. It is about us seeking to be agents of reconciliation. The reconciling love of God is to be extended through you and me. And before we can do that, we first and foremost must be reconciled to God. And then only then will we be able to be reconciled to one another. For we live in a world today where reconciliation is not one of the things we're talking about. Everyone is trying to prove that I'm right, you're wrong, and you've done this, and almost it's like, Lord, help us in our helplessness. Help us in our helplessness when we want everybody to owe us something. And God is saying, but have you forgotten? If I were to hold your wrongs against you, you won't even stand there or sit there. And then we can say, Lord, have mercy upon me and forgive me. If we will go to God seeking God's mercy and forgiveness, should we not be willing to extend the same to our brothers and sisters? I do not know where you are today and what the situation may be with you in the many relationships you have. Relationships with siblings, relationship with spouse, relationship with children, and relationship with your community. I do not know where you are, but you know where you are. And better yet, God knows exactly where you are. It is my hope and prayer that God will help you and me to take stock of our relationship with Him so that we may be willing to extend to others. Yes, I know some folks have done some things to some of us that we just feel like I can never forgive him. But stop before you say that and look up. Because you know what you've done to him. And if he will forgive you, then you must forgive her or him. Lord, help us in our helplessness to love as you have loved us. Not because we are perfect and others are imperfect. It is because we are all imperfect and we hurt one another. Just as the Father welcomed his Son and not waiting to list all of the wrongs he'd done, may we welcome one another and extend that love that can only come from God through us. Because on our own, we will never, ever be able to forgive some folks. Some we might try. Others, we will never be able to forgive them because their hurt has gone so deep. But with God's mercy and compassion, the balm of Gilead can heal that sin-sick soul. That balm can help us to liberate ourselves so that we experience mercy and forgiveness and freedom from God and freedom from self. Help us, Lord, to let go so that we may experience your love and your mercy. Amen. Amen.